Welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me for this week's Moon Scoop video. Today we will be taking a look at the Libra Full Moon, the actual second Libra Full Moon of this particular Aries season that will be exact a little later tonight, actually around 4 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, so add or subtract depending on where you are in the world. But overall, as we're going through Thursday and Friday, or Friday and Saturday, depending on which side of the globe you're on, you'll be experiencing the powerful reflective quality of this balancing act between dynamic individual initiative and balanced relational perspective. Now, for those of you who are new to this channel, my name is Ryver. I'm the intersectional astrologer and Reiki master of Psyche and Soul Astrology. It's my personal mission to help you remain grounded and empowered while you accelerate your growth. And to do that each week, I create at least one, sometimes two videos exploring the upcoming astrology and leaving you with a tangible takeaway at the end of the video so that you can practically engage that energy for your greatest benefit in working through your personal mission. So with that being said, I'm going to throw up the chart and drop down into the corner of the screen, show you just a few things that we'll take a look at as we explore the Libra Full Moon, what it means for us, tie that back to the Aries new moon, and see how we can use that energy as we wrap up the month of April. So as always, the first thing that I point out is the rising sign, and that's actually where we get the word horoscope. It means the hour marker, and Aquarius rising means that once again we have Saturn ruling a big moon phase as we go through this particular moon cycle. But unlike Capricorn, Aquarius, bringing Saturn's rulership in, brings a bit more of a future-minded and visionary quality to the energy of the Libra full moon that's coming up. The other big thing that I want to talk about is that we've actually got a very precise aspect or relationship between the moon and an asteroid that isn't always talked about. I typically stick with just the really big planets, but this time I want to talk about what it means that we have Juno in such a tight aspect with the moon, or moon aspecting Juno, as it were. The other really big things that we can talk about, and this is one that probably comes in a lot of different shapes and sizes in terms of the impact, because the planet Uranus signifies unpredictable things, or that, expect the unexpected sort of energy. And the sun in Aries is just a couple of degrees away from Uranus in the sign of Taurus. So with the sun and the moon activating Taurus in those Uranus in Taurus in those very early degrees, we can consider this full moon that might otherwise be just about reflecting on our own personal initiative as having something to do with the larger picture, with the bigger scale, since Uranus is one of those transpersonal planets. So the outer planets tend to signify things that are going on at a cultural level or for a whole generation. And as I talked about in my first Uranus in Taurus video, which I'll throw a card up for over here, Uranus in Taurus is bringing us massive revolutionary level changes to our food systems, to our banking systems, and we're starting to see that play out a bit already. And this Libra full moon kind of brings in a bit of the personal flavor of this ongoing Uranus in Taurus that'll be Uranus will be transiting through the sign of Taurus up through 2026. But in terms of this particular lunation, the full moon phase, the second Libra full moon during Aries season, that's exact at 29 degrees. The other really big thing I want to talk about is how Jupiter in Sagittarius plays out, because we've got that Libra to Sagittarius, which is a pretty harmonious aspect. It's a dynamic that requires a bit of conscious effort to engage, but there's a lot of benefit to be had there. And then, of course, we have the Libra full moon as it squares the North Node in Cancer and the South Node in what my buddy Daniel Bernal is calling the hot mess in Capricorn, with really good reason. So drop the screen down, talk to you a little bit in plain old English about what these different features in the chart mean for us, and then of course give you that tangible takeaway at the end of the video so that you can take this information and put it to work in your own personal life. So the big one, like I said a little bit earlier as you were looking at the chart, with Aquarius rising, or marking the hour of the Libra full moon, we've got kind of a twofold thing going on. On the one hand, we'll find that this next week really has us looking to the future, really has us feeling visionary and humanitarian in a certain sense. While anytime we have, personal intentions, whether it's launching a business, which I use a lot since that's what I'm doing here, or even deepening a relationship, there is always some personal stake in that issue. Even if we are looking to, say, like launch a program or launch a business practice or a platform that would really have a explicitly humanitarian purpose, we always have a personal stake in that. There's something in there for us, as well as our desire to do something good for humankind. And there's always a bit of a visionary quality to anything that we're doing, especially when we're talking about new moon manifestation and intention setting, and then getting to that full moon where we're starting to see the results of our efforts. And in particular, since with that Aries new moon video, I left you with the challenge to just do the thing that you want to see. Start taking the steps that are entailed in being where you want to be. Next to the ice cream truck is where I want to be right now, but I'm doing the steps of focusing on creating this video for you. So when we're looking at that type of dynamic where, we're reviewing what intentions did we set back on April 5th, what have you been doing practically, engaging in action-wise to get to that place that you want to be. Now that we're at this Libra full moon stage, we have the opportunity to really see what has come of those efforts. And, today, if you follow me on social media, Twitter and Instagram, I'm very active, then you know that I posed the question this morning with today's astrology not quite yet at the Libra full moon phase or the dark moon quite yet. I posed the question of, who do you need to work with to achieve your goals? And for a lot of us, this might pose an interesting challenge. And that's where Aquarius on the rising sign leads us to Saturn. Saturn is actually ruling the chart as a whole. I'm going to turn off this video for just a second and let this truck pass. So in the case of, say, an ice cream truck passing by when you're looking to shoot a video, that could be one way that Saturn shows up. It doesn't have to be doom and gloom and terrible or death-oriented. It could just be something as simple as the actual constraints of your real-life situation, where the rubbers meet in the road, the foundation that you have or the structure that you have around you just prevents you from being just totally free, which this Aquarius rising might really like, or Jupiter way up there at the top of the chart in Sagittarius might really like. With the moon in the sign of Libra, of course, Venus rules the moon side of things, and since Venus is in a very, very strong position in this particular chart, that says to me that the moon is going to be the stronger. Although the sun itself is exalted. So we've got these, again, quite powerful positions for the sun and the moon, and they're in this dynamic that isn't tense in the way that a square is. It's more about balance and reflection in the way that the full moon literally is reflecting the light of the sun. And so oftentimes, if you're versed in a bit of the language of the archetypes of the planets, you can think about just turning those metaphors literal in some fashion and get a lot out of understanding what's going on with the planets. So the big thing, I guess I should give you that quippy theme of this particular lunation, and I'm calling that balancing, pioneering, cooperation. So what does it mean to really pioneer a cooperative attitude, or what would entail pioneering cooperation for you personally? Does that mean speaking up for yourself more? Using the separating power of Mars and the Aries dynamic going on over there with the sun to separate yourself from people-pleasing patterns so that you can really have balance in your relationships? Or does it mean taking a step back from that really ambitious, initiating energy to go explore and hit new horizons? Because Aries is very much about that. Maybe it means that you need to take a little bit of a step back and listen a bit more, invite participation more to achieve the balance that this particular full moon phase is looking for. Now, the other really big thing, so if we're talking about Saturn and these general archetypes, there is a limit to what we can do. If you're looking to work with other people and they're too physically far away from you, and you don't have, a computer that can do Zoom or Skype, or you don't have FaceTime abilities, then you've got a real logistical consideration to work out. And this moon phase really asks us to look at what limits there are in terms of our overall ambition to, or our overall desire or need. Really depends on you and what's going on with your life. But there is, for about 18 months, we're going back a little ways and we're going forward about a year or so here, with the nodes in Cancer and Capricorn respectively, we're really working out what it means to integrate our need or desire for inner security and for outer security. And so for some people, you might find that that really shows up in terms of career. How am I being self-sufficient, and what does that give me in terms of the ability to have inner security? You do need, in our capitalist society, you need some amount of resources, and consistent resources at that, as well as a certain type of social standing like a credit score and other related things, if you're gonna be able to rent a place or buy a place to live and get that emotional, inner security that can give you some emotional freedom. And so that's the kind of overall theme that I'm seeing. There's these little pieces that seem not to be directly related, but they all play out really intimately as we experience them and as we live them. So that actually pretty much covers all of the little details of the chart that I wanted to talk about, except for one. And that is this minor planet, asteroid, technically is what it is, Juno. Now, if we think to mythology, Juno and Hera are synonymous. One's just, the Roman side, one's the Greek side. So we're talking about the wife of Zeus, or Jupiter, right? So we're looking at how, one, commitment, right? Because we're thinking marriage, and marriage is commitment. Commitment means to become one with, or to make one with something. So I really see that exact aspect, Juno's over there at 29 degrees of Gemini, and the moon's up there at 29 degrees of Libra, really calling us to move to what we are most committed to. Now, just for a little simple math here, any of you fresh students or intermediate students of astrology, you know that an opposition is 180 degrees, right? One side of the sphere or the circle to the other. So any planet that is 120 degrees, right here from an opposition, is going to be 60 to the other side. And that's two of the really harmonious or beneficial aspects that exist in astrology. That trine is really stable, it flows really easily, so our feelings with regard to relationships or relating or balance are vibing really harmoniously with what we're committed to. Any of you artists out there might find that you've got kind of a resurgence in your commitment, or the veracity of your desire to create. So maybe you're finding that it's a little easier to paint, to write, to make music, or alternatively, if you're just a fan of art and beautiful things, you might find that you really have a voracious appetite for those beautiful things. Now, that trine flows super easily, and that sextile, that 60-degree angle, requires a bit more conscious effort to really work on. And that's, I think, where we get some really, really fruitful, productive areas to focus on over the course of the next week, or even the next 2 weeks. So, we'll pick up on that theme in next week's video, where we explore the closing square that will be taking place. But for this video, I really just want to focus on, posing to you the question of, what are you most committed to? And when it comes to the balance that you are seeking to find between interacting with your community, with your partners, with whomever it is that you must or desire to interact with in accomplishing your goals, there is also that individual side of you. So what is it that you're most committed to? That's going to be the place where you're able to really look at what is it that you need on a personal, individual level. Whether it's something that you need in order to pursue that outer world security so that you can get that inner world security necessary to really meet as equals with that person, or whether it's just a vision and a place that you say, that is definitely where I'm going and you're welcome to come with me, or not. There's a lot of different ways it could play out depending on where the sun and the moon are landing in your own personal birth chart. If that's something that you know about, then definitely take a look at those houses. Also explore, where's Mars in your chart? Where's Venus in your chart? It'll give you some more insight into how this transit and the full moon will play out for you personally. If astrology isn't a language you speak fluently, but you'd still like to take a look, I offer personal sessions. And in fact, I am offering some really excellent deals and discounts, especially if you are a first timer to astrology. Sign up for my newsletter. I'll be sending that out tomorrow, Friday, towards the end of the evening on my time zone in the Pacific side of things. So if you sign up for that, you'll get my very first newsletter that I'm launching, and included with that I'll have some announcements about upcoming events, as well as some deals and discounts for Natal Chart Readings, Astrohealing Sessions, my special astrology and Reiki combination, as well as year ahead forecast readings. So definitely take a look at that if you are interested in a private session. All the links will be down below, as well as social media, all that stuff. The other thing that you can do if you happen to be in the Bay Area near Berkeley on May the 18th is stop by my lecture. I'll be doing a special event with the Organization for Professional Astrology, their East Bay Astro Circle. We will be hosting a lecture at the Finish Hall from 1 to 4 p.m. I'll be joined by Kay Taylor and Linnea Van Horn. I'll be lecturing on how to make the moon work for you. So I'll be giving you some really practical, hands-on tools for working with moon cycles in your personal and professional planning. And I'll be giving you a few examples based on a couple of surprise charts. So if you're around and you can make it, definitely check that out. There will be a recording of that lecture available afterwards. Again, drop down in the description, get all those details that you need. Since the sun is setting, I'm gonna wrap this up with your tangible takeaway. The tangible takeaway is sort of a two-parter this time. The question of the day is, how have the actions that you have undertaken since that Aries new moon been playing out for you? What actions have you been taking? How are they working? What results are coming into you and being reflected back with this Libra full moon? And then your challenge of the week is to find a place of balance. Find the place of yes and. Whether you take it like an improv actor or whether you use it as a style of non-violent communication, I invite you to really explore how you can be a yes to what is happening and also advocate for yourself, push forward ahead in that pioneering way to get to the space of your own dreams and mission coming through on this earthly plane. So with that, thank you so very much for taking the time once again to check out this video. If you haven't already and you like this content, hit the subscribe button down in that corner, ring the notification bell if you would like to be updated as soon as new content becomes available. And until we meet again, much love and many blessings to you.